Present, finally.
Councilman Carl Keating.
Present.
Supervisor Keating.
Present.
Councilwoman Lukasik.
Present.
Councilwoman Martin.
Present.
Girl Scout Victoria Whitmire, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no other preliminary matters for tonight, so moving on to item number 2 under regular business. Correction and adoption of the minutes. Councilwoman Martin.
No. I had a few minutes to go over the previous board meeting and the minutes, and I found no errors, so I move to accept the adoption of minutes from September 5th, 2018.
Second.
Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Carl Keating.
Yes.
Supervisor Keating.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukasik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll do one more here. Under regular business, we have the consideration of all fund bills. Councilwoman Lukasik.
Thank you, Supervisor. After performing a sampling audit, I make a motion to approve the fund bills for this meeting, September 19th, 2018.
In the amount of,
Thank you. 1,900, wait, 1,090,
No.
100.
$192,586.53.
I'll second that.
Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Carl Keating.
Yes.
Supervisor Keating.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukasik.
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we have a public hearing, so we'll move on to item number 5 under old business. And Councilwoman Lukasik.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We're going to open it up for a public hearing for the local law amending Chapter 104 of the Boston Town Code subdivision of land. This local law amends our Boston subdivision regulations in order to improve, clarify, and update the format, standards, procedures, and administrative aspects of those regulations. The copies of the proposed law were on file with the town clerk's office. If I can open up the floor and ask for any comments on the, regarding the public hearing for the local law.
You did a good job.
Okay.
Okay?
Councilwoman Lukasik, it should be noted for the record that the town made the required referral to Erie County Planning of the proposed change to the zoning ordinance, and the county has responded without comment, noting that it's a matter of local concern.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, close the floor.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the floor.
Okay, moving on to item number 3 tonight, correspondence. We have the one item is just the income statement from the bookkeeper's office, showing all of the original appropriated and expenses year to date. So that was received and filed. Moving on to item number 4, new business. Request from the floor. So I will open up the floor. Please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'll second. Sorry.
All right. You wanna come on?
Well, I can do.
Anything, Kathy?
I'll tell those to a general reminder.
Sure.
Boston Historical Society, we're having 2 knit nights. One's October 11th, that's a mystery knit at the museum, and then October 17th is Learn to Knit at the museum, and then once again, the play about the Thayer brothers hanging and John Love murder, October 22nd, Boston Valley at 6:30. And it's called Something Wicked. So.
Do we have to, thanks so much.
purchase tickets for that, or?
Honey, we talked grant money,
I know.
so it's open to the community.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything else? I will close the floor. Moving on to item number 2 under new business. We have the application for the use of town meeting facility for Girl Scout Troop 34710. Councilman Cardicini.
Thank you Supervisor Keating. Girl Scout Troop number 34710, Karen Lewandowski and Marjorie Zaweda have the troop co-leaders. They've requested the town hall community room without kitchen, and they would like this available for October 2nd and 16th, November 13th and 20th, December 11th, January 15th and 29th, February 26th, March 12th, March 26th, April 9th and 30th, and May 14th, 21st, and finally 6/11/2019. I make a motion we accept this use of town meeting facility.
A second.
Councilman Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Cardicini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 3 under new business. We have a liquor license application for the Boston Hotel located at 9373 Boston State Road. Councilman Munder.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Yes, we have received notification, actually on 2 liquor licenses from the state. One in regards to the Boston Hotel located at 9378 Boston State Road. The other at Foxhole Farms LLC at 8325 Cole Road. So I would like to say that these were received and filed.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that's 3 and 4 under new business. Moving on to number 5, proclamation for the Gold Award Girl Scout Victoria Whitmire. Councilwoman Martin.
Thank you Supervisor. Victoria, if you could step up. Just walk to the ramp, so everybody sees ya. The town of Boston and myself, Councilwoman Martin, having been a Girl Scout and a leader for 5 years, would like to give you this proclamation. Whereas the town of Boston is honored to have a young woman from Girl Scout Troop 31364 who has attained the highest award of Girl Scouts, the Girl Scout Gold Award. And whereas Victoria is in her 13th year in Girl Scouts, and whereas Victoria designed and implemented Future Careers Week that was designed to help kids connect with professional people in the community and ask questions about their jobs as her Gold Award project. And whereas her project concluded in a week-long summer program for the kids in the Seneca-Babcock area of Buffalo, where each day of the week focused on a different career. Whereas Victoria received her Gold Award at the Gold Award ceremony on June 2nd, 2018. Victoria is a senior at Hamburg High School, where she is a member of band, percussion ensemble, and World Language Honor Society. Victoria has been an active member of the Churchill Memorial United Methodist Church, serving as an acolyte and reader during the Sunday services, and is a member of the youth group. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Boston, on behalf of the residents of our community, offers heartiest congratulations to Victoria Whitmire for her hard work and extraordinary leadership skills, which helped her to earn the Gold Award from the Girl Scouts of Western New York. Dated this 19th day of September, Jason Keating, Town Supervisor. Congratulations.
Very well done, congratulations. Okay, moving on to item number 6 under new business, schedule a public hearing for the Community Development for Block Grants. Councilwoman Lukacek.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We I am requesting to schedule a public hearing that'll be held on October 17th, 2018 at 7:45 at the Boston Town Hall, Boston, New York, regarding the use of the federal community development funds in the town of Boston. Town of Boston is eligible for a federal community development grant under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. The purpose of the hearing is to provide an opportunity for citizens to express community development and housing needs and to discuss possible projects which would benefit low and moderate income persons in the town of Boston. Citizens are urged to attend this meeting to make known their views or their written proposals on the town of Boston's selection of potential projects to be submitted for possible funding by the Federal Community Development Program. The hearing will also present a review of prior community development projects and expenditures and a discussion of eligible activities. I make a motion that we accept the request for public hearing and that we have it scheduled for October 17th at 7:45.
I'll second that.
Councilman Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Karakini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 7 under new business, approve an opaque payroll company. Town of Boston's been historically using a payroll company. We've identified a cost savings utilizing computer search payroll services for the town of Boston. So I had this discussion with the town board, showed a cost savings downstairs to the board, which is pretty decent for our community based on the historical rates. One of the things that actually for myself as the chief financial officer that triggered this was that we were looking for some additional data to be shown up on the employees' pay stubs, such as vacation time, sick time, that sort of data, so the employee would have a direct reporting mechanism, so they would have that report presented to them all the time. And the current payroll company said it was quite actually an expensive module, in my opinion, and this other company will do it for free, plus the computer search will also file all of the towns' quarterly federal, state payroll reports, such as the 940, 941, 945, the annual W-2s, 1099s, W-3s, et cetera. So that will be for everybody that's paid either bi-weekly or monthly. So I would like to make a motion to approve Computer Search as the Town of Boston's new payroll company.
I'll second.
It's yours, go for it.
I'm seconding it.
Yes, you are.
Councilman Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Karakini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item number 8 under new business, approve the Little Library location at the South Boston Park. I'm taking this one as well. I had a resident reach out to me late last year, actually, for the Little Library program. For those of you that might not be familiar with the Little Library program, if you happen to see down at Boston Bailey, Orchard Park, up by Green Lake, or many other communities, they're small little boxes that have books for the children to read out of there. Actually, it's a very young woman. She's actually in elementary school. She came to her mom, said, "Mom, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to get back to my community." They're talking about literacy rates and other things. The mom reached out to me and I said, "Let's do this." So we've actually, the mother and I have had a couple of conversations where the daughter wanted to have this place. It's down at the South Boston Park. We'll place this on town land. And we felt due diligence would be to bring it up at a town board meeting and approve that use. But with also the understanding that the or a town board at any particular time could revoke that particular use by a town board vote. But again, this is something I'm sort of looking forward to working with the mother and the daughter on. I think it's great for the community. I personally like to see a few more go in. But without further ado, I would like to make a motion to approve the Little Library location at South Boston Park.
I second.
Councilman Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Karakini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving back under the old business, we already have held public hearings. Moving on to item number 2, we have resolution 2018-40, which is the seeker review for local law intro in number 3, titled "A Local Law Amending Chapter 104 of the Boston Town Code, Subdivision of Land." And also item number 3 under old business, resolution 2018-41, which is authorizing adoption by the Boston Town Board of the Town of Boston 2018 local law number 3. Councilwoman Lukacek.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution 2018-40 is the seeker review for the local law, Boston Town Code subdivision of land for Chapter 104. This amends, as I had stated before, to improve, clarify, and update the procedures within those regulations. The seeker is the State Environmental Quality Review Act regulations found under 6 NYCRR Part 617.3A. Require that no agency may undertake, fund, or approve an action until it has complied with the requirements of seeker. Whereas the town board has received a short EAF, and after examination of the EAF, the town board has considered the potential environmental impacts of the proposed action, applying the criteria for determining significance, and therefore it be resolved that the town board of the town of Boston hereby determines that the adoption of the proposed local law constitutes an unlisted action that is subject to seeker, and that there is no federal or other involved agencies with respect to this action. So I'm going to move down to the specifics. Be further resolved that this determination is based on the following facts and conclusions. 1, the adoption of the local law will not result in any direct action or physical change to the environment. 2, any changes to the environment that may occur from the adoption would be indirect and result from future undertakings that would be permitted by the local law. And 3, adoption of this local law does not include any proposal to undertake such activities at this time. I make a recommendation to approve the resolution 2018-40, the seeker review for local law intro number 3, titled the local law amending chapter 104 of the Boston Town Code subdivision of land.
I'll second.
Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Cardicini.
Yes.
Supervisor Keating.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek.
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2018-41, authorizing the adoption by the Town Board of Town of Boston 2018 local law number 3. Realizing we had the hearing and we didn't have any recommendations, I was anticipating to table this based on some of the comments. The planning board members did come back and suggested to delete or reword, thank you, 2.16 regarding variances, because it sounded as if it allowed the planning board to approve variances, which is not allowed. There are other codes that do describe variances, but it speaks to it, but it doesn't say it specifically. Mr. Attorney, do you have any recommendations at this point?
The language of that section, variances, although the word is of course the same as used when the ZBA zoning board of appeals were to grant a variance, it just means that there is some flexibility by the planning board in its approval of subdivisions, so a minor deviation from the strict requirements, the strict engineering requirements of the code may be permitted. If the board wanted to pass this local law this evening in order to bring the provisions related to major and minor subdivisions and defining the subdivision of land into effect, it could pass the local law as drafted, and in a subsequent code update, further address the variance language, which already exists in the code as it is today. Otherwise, the board, I believe, would have to go through the public notification and public hearing process again, and it would delay enactment of the provisions of this local law regarding the definition of subdivision, which are the principal thrust of the effort.
So based on your comments and suggestions, recommendations, I make a motion to approve resolution 2018-41, authorizing the adoption by the Boston Town Board of Town of Boston, 2018 local law number 3.
I second.
Councilman Munger.
No.
Councilman Cardicini.
No.
Supervisor Keating?
No.
Motion failed.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number, moving on to word reports and presentations tonight. I had received the town clerk's monthly report, and I also received the code enforcement officer's report. And with that, I will move on to report from the town clerk tonight.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Highway superintendent?
Yes, I have a few things tonight. The last pickup for the year for brush will start October 1st. We'll do every road in town, every road in town we'll do once. We're gonna have a lot of wood chips available. Anybody looking for wood chips? Still got wood chips. Starting in October, the end of October, we'll have leaves. So anybody looking for leaves, we'll have leaves. All of our town roads, all the shoulders have been mowed, and they put gravel on all the shoulders on the edges of the road where it needed. The salt barn has been filled with salt, so we're ready for the winter. And once again tonight, I'd like to ask the town attorney if he would contact Mr. Andy Romanowski from Alliance Homes. We're another resident that called me last week, and I thought he was going to be here tonight. But when Alliance Homes put up these 5 new homes on Henrich Road off of North Boston Road, he didn't want to bond the road, so he made a deal that every year before plowing, he would fix the road. Well, it's been 3 years and he hasn't done a thing yet to the road, and it's full of holes, and I've been getting calls quite a bit because it needs to be fixed. So if the town attorney could contact him and set up a meeting and get that taken care of, it'd be greatly appreciated. And that's all I have tonight.
And Bob, we do have a letter from the town engineer as well, correct?
I got a letter from Mr. Romanowski stating that he would fix the road every year before plow season.
Okay,
Signed by Mr. Romanowski.
okay. Yeah, I'll also reach out to the town engineer and try to set up a meeting. Attorney for the town.
Nothing. Thank you.
Councilman Munger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As we are unfortunately encroaching into a new year already, it's amazing how fast it goes. The town attorney and myself will be looking at the contracts for solid waste and are expecting to see some pretty hefty increases in costs due to recycling, the new recycling issues. If anybody would like to talk further about that, I'm available after the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. Councilman Carter Keating.
Thank you, Supervisor Keating. We ran out of time in our agenda review, and I did not have a chance to ask Mr. Telek about the town historian had requested that the scenic byway marker be moved from the back of the town park where nobody sees it to the original intended location, which is out near the road. And I wasn't sure if you had a chance to talk to Scott.
Yes, I talked to Scott, and he thinks it's absolutely ridiculous to move it out front where nobody's going to see it there either. There was a reason that the people who the sign put, I don't know who put the sign up, but the people we bought the sign from put the sign up there, and there was a reason they put it up there, and Scott really doesn't know why, so he's not in favor of moving it. I really don't care if we move it where we move it. Personally, I think it'd be better down at the Boston Commons than out front here, because it's only a one-sided sign, so how are you going to face it? People going down the road one way won't see it going the other way, so I don't care what we do with the sign. It's up to the supervisor and the board. If you want us to move the sign, you can tell us where you want it moved. It's concreted in, so it's going to take some work to move it. I don't really know the reason they put it there, if there was a definite reason why it was put there, but if the board tells me to move it somewhere, we'll dig her up and move it.
Well, the intended location was out in front in the turnaround where it would face outward, where people could stop and see it. So I can certainly reach out to Scott and follow up with that and the
Like I
town
said,
historian.
if you tell me to move it, somehow or other, we'll move it.
All right, the other question I had was, I got a call from a resident who was curious as to who maintains the sign on Boston Colden Road that says "Welcome to Boston" as you're traveling north on 393?
On Boston Springville Road or Boston Colden Road?
I'm sorry, Boston Springville Road.
You know what? I just heard about it last week, the sign's leaning up against the tree. I don't know exactly where it goes, where it came from, who put it there, but it's definitely not the ground. And it should be put back somewhere where it belongs, but, it's on the county right away, but if, you know, it's a Boston sign, I don't know if the county would take care of that, or if you want us to take care of it, it's up to, I suppose we should contact the county because it's on their road. And they're pretty fussy about putting signs on there right away, so.
Okay.
If the county tells us to do it, we'll be glad to do it.
So that would be a county
Well,
issue.
It's on the county right away, but it's a town Boston sign, so
Right. Okay.
whatever you work out with the county, we'll take care of it.
All right, fair enough. That's all I have tonight.
Yes, thank you very much. Councilwoman Lukacek.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The Code Committee did meet on this Monday, just to go over some of the comments that the Planning Board brought back. There were a couple of questions that we fielded from the town offices, just on the farm stands. And they are approved within the code under RA districts. I can get the specifics for that if anyone would like that. And that's all I have at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Martin.
I received notice that the zoning board had no applications, so their meeting for Thursday, October 4th has been canceled. And the submittal deadline for the November 1st meeting is October 11th. I'll be attending the Conservancy Board meeting this upcoming Tuesday, the 25th. We're trying to do the final planning of the LEAP event, which, again, like I mentioned in our last board meeting, is September 30th at Town Park between 9 and 1. If anybody would like to come down and check out all of our activities, we have quite a few guaranteed attendees, two of them being the DEC, two different offices from the DEC doing some informative displays, and we'll have 4-H there, I believe Boy Scouts. There's a couple local businesses that are doing some demonstrations, and should be a fun event. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Under my report, actually the town board, as per state law, was provided a copy of my draft of the budget for going into 2019. We tried to meet some of the requests. Some were met, others were not. Like Councilman Munger stated, and I've stated for quite some time, solid waste continues to be a challenge for not just our community, but it's going to be for every community. We'll see what comes back early next year with the RFP process for the solid waste contracts, but recycling is a large component of it. Because the new language that's being built into just about any contract that's currently out there or under negotiation is what's called a contamination rate. So for the recycling, the example I brought up a few times here is if everyone in this room recycled, absolutely perfect. You're washing out your peanut butter jars, you're washing out the spaghetti jars, etc. And then I'll use myself as the example, and I happen to make spaghetti for dinner. I use I take the spaghetti jar and I don't bother rinsing it out. I toss it in the recycling bin. It goes into the truck. That spaghetti jar breaks and contaminates, let's say, 6% of the recycling goods in that truck. The town is actually going to be charged back for that because the trucks obviously are uniquely identified based off of their logistics and being assigned to the municipality. That was a contamination rate because now the hauler has to take that contaminated recycling that cannot be recycled and pay to have it shipped over to the solid waste side of things. I just had it's called the Supervisors Roundtable up at the Millennium Hotel last week. There were 32 different municipalities located there, and that was the hot topic of discussion. So like I said, it's not just the town of Boston, this is every other community, really across the state, and likely going to start rippling across the country. West Coast started having these problems a few months earlier, just because of how the contracts roll, but that's kind of high level. But again, we've been working on the budget. Those numbers haven't been officially, solidified yet. The numbers that cannot change after tonight are all the elected officials. So that's been set in place, and so the bookkeeper and I and the town board will continue to work on the budget, get those numbers together for the next meeting, which will be the first board meeting in October. And we'll have that budget out to everybody for their review. And I'm also happy to announce that the grant that the DASNY grant that I've been discussing off and on, I finally received the formal packet last week, so it is official that the town was able to secure a $75,000 grant, DASNY grant, which will pay for the boiler downstairs that is quite old and has, as Councilwoman Lukacek kind of grinning. I gave her a tour of our boiler room. It's in need of repair, and it's going to be replaced. We will also get 3 generators, as I've stated before. One for highway that was damaged in the windstorm, actually had failed in the windstorm. One for the town hall, so the town hall will become a warming center after that is installed. And then one for our emergency squad building, so Parks and Emergency Squad will actually have power, should there be a power outage, and that was a kind of I'll just chalk it up to a lessons learned scenario where after the last wind event where most of us that were without power for 3 to 4 days, depending on where you lived, sometimes some people shorter, the town essentially became ineffective at operating as a local government. We didn't have heat, we didn't have power. Once the power was out for the second day, our battery backup for our phones died. So as a taxpaying constituent, if you called in looking for help from your local government, we couldn't even help you from a phone standpoint. So again, a lesson learned. We now know what we need to do, and we'll get that rectified. It'll also help and assist in paying for some IT infrastructure with, they're called Ethernet drops, but essentially Ethernet cabling throughout the town hall, which will fix some of those issues. Let's see what else we got. And we also have another grant that, DASNY grant that was originally used for, or going to be used for the North Boston Park, but due to some vandalism down in the South Boston Park, we had reallocated those funds down to the South Boston Park. And that will hopefully replace that playground equipment and to give a little bit of TLC to that side of town that hasn't seen it in way before. I lived here, but from what I can find, about 22 to almost 30 years. So some nice playground equipment for the children down at that end of town. And then for the project that was initially planned for the North Boston Park, the Community Development Block Grant, or some people might hear it as a CDBG grant. That grant is something that I'm going to, or the board, myself and the board, will actively pursue to try to have that building down there rehabilitated, so we actually have a nice facility down at North Boston Park. I actually also now sit on the Erie County Planning Board, Community Development Board for small, and I represent for small towns. So we're going to be doing some tours. I truly have a lot to learn there, but there's a lot of opportunities out there, and being part of that, I'm really hoping I can actually bring back some of our tax dollars to the community by sitting on that board and learning some of those situations. But that is all I have for tonight. So without further ado, I will make a motion to end the meeting.
Second.